Mikey, we're back with a special World Cup Survivor series. This is
All
gonna be part
aboard.
one.
We're back.
Yeah, so it's June right now. We got about 100 days until the NFL Survivor starts. And it makes it the perfect time for the World Cup to just give us this opportunity to win 2 million bucks on Splash.
To occupy the doldrums.
Yes. Yes, and this isn't just a little March Madness is cool and everything, but World Cup is the biggest one they've ever done. It's hosted here, and it's a pretty cool format for a Survivor. Once every 4 years, it's not like there's any tools or resources out there. I mean, there's some stuff, but it's not like dedicated to Survivor. So I get excited about stuff like that when there's a unique contest.
Yeah.
And it really pits everyone against and see who figures it out.
It's kind of like I remember you and I talking about this exact concept not too long ago during the football season, where we were talking about like having a new board game or something else introduced to you, and you just got to go off your gut. It's not like you had a chance to dive into the numbers and realize, like if you're playing Settlers of Catan for the first time or something, you just got to go with your gut feeling. You can't be like, oh, I know that, this part where it's a 7 and an 8, this is the most valuable versus this. You just got to, it's all field play, baby.
Yes. And I think just like in NFL Survivor, you can get an edge. Not besides just having lots of fun and making the World Cup, have a reason to get into it. I think you can have an edge just doing that stuff, using the same type of thought process we bring to NFL Survivor. We're just applying to World Cup Survivor. And, Mike and I are playing this contest on Splash. We're going to have a link in the description. We're going to have links, in our Discord and in our email. And, you guys can join this $2 million Survivor contest that we're going to be focused on. And extra juicy about it is it seems like there's going to be an overlay. And having a big contest with an overlay is like the perfect reason to dive into something where you might not, it might not be your bread and butter, but it's a good reason to gamble because they're paying out $2 million and someone's got to win it. And I don't know if you have it up right now, but
I do.
Last time I looked, it wasn't even.
I think it was 1,800. I think I made 1,800.
Okay. So it's starting to accelerate, but if I had to bet, I would think there'd be some overlay.
I think so too. Let's talk about the structure of it, like how it works.
Okay.
Well, first and foremost, it's $100 a ticket. You can enter quite a few tickets if that's the type of thing you're into, or you can enter one ticket.
You can't enter one ticket. You gotta guarantee yourself to be in the next stage. Okay, hold on. We got to break down the rules before I insist on why everyone.
Before you insist that everyone has to play $15,000 worth of entries.
Right.
So one ticket gets you, and if you don't know, like the World Cup is in group stages. So there's 4 teams per group. Groups A through L, and you have to, each member of an individual group will play the other team one time, and based on your results in your individual group, you will come out of that group, the top 2 from each group, and then also like some top overall finisher. So it's possible that, is it possible that 4 could come from one group? No, right? That seems a little wacky. I guess if all the teams go like, okay, this is probably like an outlandish situation, but like if there's like 12 teams that go 0-4, it might go to goal differential or something like that. But I think that's getting a little too complicated. I think for the most part, there's going to be a minimum of 2 that come out of each group, and then additional ones based on their overall finish in the grand scheme of things. And so the contest is structured in 2 phases. You are first, you have to pick 4 teams to come out of their group stages, which sounds relatively easy, especially when you look at the percentages of the, that Splash provides you the percentages that a team's going to come out of there.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's cool. Makes it a little easier.
That helps a little bit. But like anything else, that's not really how the contest works. You can't just.
Yeah, I wonder exactly. Does it say where they're getting that from?
I don't think so.
Because there's some disagreements, right?
Okay, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter as long as they're getting them all from the same place, right?
Right.
To some extent.
So they're getting it somewhere, not just some guy at Splash making up.
Yeah, just randomly making it up.
USA 100%. I don't know.
Iran 0.
Dude, Iran. I can't wait to talk about them. They got a special.
And so yes, it might be easy, but that's kind of like distilling down the Survivor football contest and being like, oh yeah, I can just get through week 1, right? I'll just pick the Bills.
Right.
There's a little more. There's a little more to it than that. Yeah.
So after the group stage, it becomes a bracket of 32 teams, and of course, you can't use any. Just like typical Survivor, you can't use any of the 4 teams you picked from group. So we know France, for example, is like 99% to get out of the group, but they probably are going to win a game in the knockout stage. You might need them. They might even win the last game where you're definitely going to need them. Get ahead of myself though.
No, that's good.
So the group stage, you pick 4, and then when there's 32 teams, you got to pick 2 to win to survive, and then the round of 16, you got to pick 2 to survive, and then round of 8, you have to pick 2. Is that right?
Yep.
So then in the semifinals, you pick one of them, and then whatever team you have left, hopefully you have a team left for the finals, and you pick a winner in the finals. What's your gut say about?
I was just gonna go there.
Well,
go. I
was gonna say, what's your gut say about how the chances that we get a winner, or the chances that it's split heavily, or just?
That's what I was just gonna say that. I don't know. That's my answer. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I'm some sort of up to date on like Cote d'Ivoire's soccer team or whatever. But this is just from like a contest strategy standpoint. I think if let's just assume for the sake of this that we achieve the break-even point for the guarantee in terms of contest entrance.
Okay, we got 20,000 or whatever.
Sure. I think it's a pretty hammer lock that we'll see a winner.
You mean someone survived to the end? Or
yeah. That's what I mean.
Someone survived, or they're
a full I don't know, a full journey.
Yes. So I did kind of look over some past World Cup brackets. I don't know if there was ever any World Cup Survivor happening, but it does seem like there's always one team that makes a run that can go deep that might mess up a lot of people. But I think it really hinges on if one of the major group picks get knocked out. For example,
no doubt.
You have this, or I got this list of. I just brought up Polymarket, just because they have it on an easy to view screen, but all the bookmakers, anywhere you're betting, probably has a list of stuff like this, odds to advance.
I enjoy the World Cup, and I distinctly remember when in high school there was one I think they played it in South Korea, and I remember waking up at like 3 a.m. for the games. And so I follow this, and I was trying to remember a time when the World Cup had, in like, let's say the Elite Eight or whatever, where there was like 3, teams that are just like middling, like
Right. Random
like
teams.
in Australia.
Last time it was Morocco, right? That made a
I
run.
think so. Yeah.
And then before that, 2018 Croatia was kind of
Yes.
surprising.
Yeah, and I think Belgium, I remember at one point, made a deep run. Maybe I'm wrong on that. They had that
USA.
guy with the puffy hair.
Yeah, right. Missed that guy.
But the point is that, yes, one of those teams makes it that far, but the other 7 teams are going to be like, your powerhouses, your France, your Argentina, Spain, maybe England, Germany, that kind of thing.
Yes. So you got to think those teams aren't going to be too popular on the group stage.
Sure.
And I think, there's a lot of wrinkles to who you pick in the group stage and how you're going to get ahead. But in terms of, is the contest going to have one winner or is it going to make it to the end? I suspect, just like a lot of these types of contests where there's DFS or regular Survivor, those are going to be like a chalk. There's going to be a chalky pick or two in the group stage. Where, for example, if everyone thinks Japan is the perfect team to advance but not win because they're likely to make the next group.
Yes.
If they get whacked, then it really changes things. And because we don't have any basis for how popular these teams are, it's makes it fun. Like using Japan as an example, like let's say that we're gonna get way more into team specific stuff on our next episode, but if everyone agrees that they make sense, is it going to be like 70% of the field taking them, or is the chalk going to be 30%? I don't know. Really don't know. Mike, you're the only person I'm talking strategy with. I don't know what other people are feeling. Maybe there's some other content out there. I don't know.
Yeah, back to what we were saying. It's like you have a board game or something that you're playing for the first time where you're really shooting from the hip. So you're kind of like, I can tell you my initial inclination, which was exactly as you said, that you're looking for teams that have a high potential to make it out of their group, but not to make it deep in the tournament itself. And that's going to be your best picks for the early stages. And so, again, not that I'm, knee deep in the international football scene, but like Japan seems like a perfect example of that. And even like maybe Ecuador or Cote d'Ivoire too, because
yes, but there's the knockout stage has 32.
Right.
That's a lot. And you got to pick 2 of them. So you got to still save some kind of those middle teams for them.
Yeah, you can't be going like France in the round of 32 either. You want to presumably you want to hold at least some of these guys for the end stage.
Yes. So I mean, there's a lot to pick over there. There's a lot of angles. There's so many angles. The fact that the top 2 of all the groups make it, and then there's like the 3rd place team, that creates a weird thing. Like, do you go for the team that has a really, really bummy 4th team?
Yes.
Or does that make it a chalky play to do that? Like
that's kind of what I was thinking too. We'll probably go more into like specific matchups and situations where you can decide what's best in the next episode. But I have to wonder, like teams like Haiti, are they just going to lose like 9-0 to every team in the group? I have no idea. I think like that's what appears to be the prediction. But
dude, I like a little Haiti, dude. I think they can get one.
Are they run by some guy named like Barbecue or something now?
That sounds good. They're eating the cats, dude. They're eating the dogs. Barbecue's right.
I saw the leader of the country is a guy named Barbecue.
Oh, you mean the country, not the team.
Yeah, no, he's like the president or something.
Dude, there's some. It's such a just sweet, great like what's the
Equalizer?
I was gonna say it's just a great like arena for storytelling. Like all these things, these different teams from all over. Obviously, there's the big powerhouses, but this is it's a kind of a once in a lifetime thing for lots of these players and teams, and I look forward to trying to make some reads on the storylines. One thing, just about the process is like you got to pick the group stage. You got to pick your 4 teams before you see any of the action, and then there's like 15 days where you're just waiting to you're just collecting info for knockout stage. You're not. It's like the longest round of Survivor there's ever been, right?
Also, like, in the splash. Okay, here's a question for you. In the splash contest for World Cup, how many of the current 1,800 people that have entered? That was as of like an hour ago.
Thursday, you're right.
Yeah, have ever seen Jordan play soccer? Like it's like one.
No one's ever seen him play, man.
Right. So like
a pretty good highlight. I don't know if you saw this highlight that came out, one of their friendlies. I think it was against Switzerland. But the coach is like telling them to like chill. And then one of the players is like, everybody up, let's go.
This is Jordan?
Yeah, seemingly like against the coach's orders. He's like, let's press. He's waving them. And then Switzerland just gets the ball, 3-pass counterattack goal, and it was just like immediately in the dude's face saying, "Don't worry about the coach, let's just do it." So I saw that. I haven't seen Jordan play a game, but that's in my mind. And
okay, well, you're like light years ahead of the rest of the competition in the splash contest, I would think. So like the splash contest in the NFL, there's some merit to the argument where people are like, oh, I don't really follow the NFL. I don't think I would do well in that competition. Like, okay, all right. I suppose that's an okay argument because, you could ask the same question of the total number of people in a football contest. And the number would be like, or how many of this group have seen the Bengals play? And it would be like 90 some percent.
Yes. Hey, well, that's what's fun about this. We're gonna
no doubt. This is the Wild West,
and the whole world's betting on this. Does that mean the lines are like pretty sharp because all these smart people all over the world are moving the lines, or is it extra fishy because
everyone's weighing in?
Right. Every person in Europe's got a handful of tickets, right? And I mean, what's the worldwide handle in the World Cup? It's like $1 trillion or something.
Probably.
More?
Yeah, and that's like the legal handle. Combine it, and it's like the GDP of like most countries.
Dude, I wonder if there's any $1 billion bets, like some Middle Eastern, some Chinese,
some shake
betting $1 billion with each other.
I don't know. Is there a way? Like the only time that I could see that is if it's like a hedge where a country stands to benefit tremendously if they were to win or something like that.
Oh, that would be funny. Like Cape Verde is like,
yeah,
we need to bet against our team because if we win, we're like one. Right.
We're set. Yeah,
people are coming, but if we don't, we're gonna need some more revenue.
Yeah,
I could see that, but I'm pretty sure there's some whales all over the world with too much money with friends that they want to bet on random stuff with.
$1 billion? $1 billion?
I mean,
how do you even transfer?
That's a little high, but you just pay off with a resort. You're like, oh, I'll give you that resort. Like
a boat or something like that, I suppose.
I've rubbed elbows with some of these types, and there's definitely. Dude, once you get too much money, you need something to just feel alive, man. They do a lot. Yeah. They do a lot of weird stuff.
Go on.
$1 billion
list of all the weird stuff they do.
Just slamming $1 billion on whatever
Paragon.
Mexico versus South Africa. Pay you with the diamond mine, as an example, but. Anyway, it's getting exciting, Mikey. Just feeling this stuff out. I don't know if without talking about the teams.
Okay.
you have some process, you have some like research you're doing, or like how are you getting to where you need to be when you make this first run of picks?
I think, our basis of comparison is going to be NFL Survivor. So like
let's start there.
We're relying on our into it. It's not like we're going completely naked. This isn't a new game to us, but I think that when we would talk, like week 7 of the NFL season, I remember us saying, there's two ways to come at it. You could, do you really think the Lions are a 7-point favorite against this team? Should it be closer? And, you could rely on a little bit of your NFL knowledge to guide your decision-making process, I would say. And then separate from that, there was like a contest knowledge way to approach it. And this is what Casey would talk about a lot, where
Shout out,
like what makes sense in terms of the actual contest itself. If you know that there's going to be a big, a huge fork where teams are, people are guided towards one team, you kind of want to steer clear of that, or, whatever it ends up being. Has nothing to do with the actual football teams themselves, but it has more to do with the structure of the contest. I think
because you can rely on just the odds and the market to tell you what the percentages are.
Sure. What I think is particularly, and this was true of football, but I think it's going to be particularly more relevant in the World Cup contest, is your knowledge of other people's knowledge is going to be the most important thing. So like, when we started at the very beginning, we were saying, people are going to go through this and be like, obviously we had an initial inclination for a reason. Other people are going to think the same thing, right? Where you're trying to pick, middling teams that can definitely make it out of their group, but not make it far in the tournament. And I think if you're able to identify who the majority think those teams are, you're going to be in a far better position. So the other thing is, it's not like that this is like a super popular talking point, so it's not like people are going to be on TikTok or Instagram talking about, oh, I think this team is going to make it out of the group stage, but not make it this far. That's not really like a huge talking point.
Right. It's not like ESPN or whatever. It's not like decent. Like it sounds hard to do what you're saying to do, man.
Yeah. You have to get the collective pulse of the gambling community without, being able to directly ask them, I suppose.
Yes. So
it's kind of like a vibe thing, like you were just, your initial vibe might, the fact that you said Japan first implies that, other people are probably, also, I don't know, looking towards Japan as a possible option. So do you steer clear of them? Maybe, I don't know. Do you pray for, if you do that, you're basically shooting for a Sweden or Tunisia to win that group. And then, that's kind of like the Thanksgiving Day massacre from football season, where you're avoiding the people that are picking these teams. You just have to identify the teams that are going to be most picked in this group stage, I think, to set you up.
Yes. Okay. Give me a lot of thoughts on it.
Okay, go.
You got me going. So, typically in Survivor, we talk about the two schools of thought.
Yeah.
Survive versus value.
Win the contest.
Right. But, so, you avoid the teams that you have a great chance of surviving because it's creating value for you later.
Yeah, this contest specifically offers a third category.
Well,
because I think you and I both agree that, well, maybe not. I don't know. I'm already changing my mind, where you do want to save some of the top teams, as you go on. And so you can't burn your big dogs, or, I mean, that's like the NFL season. Before you know it, you're going to be in week 8 taking, 3-point dogs. If you just go Bills, Ravens, in the first few picks or whatever. Mm-hmm. So your one school of thought is, pick some good teams so that you actually survive. Second school of thought is to pick some middling teams that you think can make it out of their group stage but not advance. The third, option that you're being presented is the other teams that don't make up this category, because nobody's going to be on those teams. So I don't know.
Yeah. So okay. So in the dichotomy of survive versus value, I feel like once it gets to a point where you've got to find, if everyone does the value play, like if the field gets smart over time and everyone's like, oh, I got to go for the value play, then there's that next category of value, which is like the sneaky contrarian value. Which, and the World Cup, this format, I think that's like either going for the bottom barrel teams, so you're hoping
or the good teams, back to the good teams.
Yes, because for example, France, like okay, they're 99% advance, but if they get to that round of 32 game, they're only going to be like 85% to win, maybe. Rough, who knows? I don't know how to play. Whatever. And if that means they're getting knocked out of the first knockout game 15% of the time, then maybe 15% of your entries should take France in the group stage.
Yeah. So, I think that we've talked about like rock, paper, scissors theory, and the moment that you start deviating from 33% of one, then it makes sense for you to change up your mind. We have to figure out that this is our task, to figure out how many people are going to be like level one smart in this situation is to just go like absolute level one is just to go. I'm looking at the thing. It's to just go. Okay, Argentina and France.
And like USA.
Yeah. Well, no. Argentina are I don't think. Yeah, okay. Argentina, France, USA, England. That's like level one. Like I'm just trying to survive to the next round, and I'll figure it out next time, right?
Right.
What level two smart is to go like Japan, Croatia or Panama, maybe like I don't know, Austria.
Yeah, Turkey.
You get where I'm going. So that's level two smart. Level three smart is to go like maybe like a Scotland, team that is like maybe even a dog to get out of group, or like Saudi Arabia or something that is on a dog to even get out. But then we go back to level four smart, and it's just level one smart. It's just taking the teams that we just talked about.
Right, maybe just one of them. You got to mix them better, I guess. Is level four. And that brings us back to the point where you got to have more than one entry, because you got to do a little.
We got all different levels that we got different boxes we need to check, and I think I constantly was giving poker analogies during our previous one, and I have another one here
we go,
where it's like, you get it in the first round of the World Series event, you get somebody that opens to 5x, right? And then you're like, oh, this guy, he doesn't get it, right? And then you also get another dude at your table, and let's just say it's Galfond or Isaac Haxton or something like that, and he opens to 5x. So one person's an idiot that did it, and the other person's the best player on the planet, and they did it. So
right.
So we're in a similar situation. Level one people are picking France. Level four people are picking France here.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, we don't know what our competition is doing. It's not like, in Circus Survivor, we've had years of seeing how people make stuff, and that's why we're so good at projecting what people are doing, right? I guess for this one, we can see how many people are firing lots of entries versus how many people just have a few. Maybe there's something there. I'm not sure if that's easy to figure out. That's interesting.
I didn't consider that as a like a marker for determining where people are going to go. Again, all of these are just vibes, and like we're going off of what we think based on our years of gambling, I would say. And also, I think, we have 3% of this contest are going to have any information about 80% of these teams. I would think.
Yeah, but the info is what the odds are, right? And
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Especially if they're putting them in the app, right?
Yeah. Okay. So everyone's kind of using this, on the same playing field is what I should say in that regard. And so I think, this whole contest boils down to what you think other people think.
Yeah, but also, that, and also figuring out the angle and how to
counter.
Get it.
Yeah, you want to figure out the counter. You can't just assume that if you figure that out, it's just going to fall into place. You have to figure out the best path.
Yeah, I think. What do I think? Okay, so one strategic, the big major difference is, or talking about NFL Survivor in this is this has the bracket.
Yeah.
Just like March Madness Survivor, Playoff Survivor, different types of Survivor, right? When there's a bracket involved, things are very different. It breaks people's brains even more as far as
in what way?
Do. Like taking an underdog in the round of 32. I think, without knowing what the matchups are, gut says there's going to be some big plus EV available doing that.
Okay.
Because I know in Playoff Survivor, like NFL Playoff Survivor, this is true. And same with March Madness. You can't just be on the favorites. What people do is I'm gonna take favorites, and hope I just save the right favorite. But there's times where finding the right dog is how you win the 7 figures, and there's no path except taking that. If that dog wins, right?
How should I phrase this so that it makes the most sense? The situations where the disparity between the types of dogs. So some dogs are 40% to win, and versus 60%. Other dogs are 10%. So if we get a Haiti versus Spain, or Haiti versus France or something, that feels like it's not going to be large enough or it's going to be too large of a disparity to make the pick there.
Right.
Because not enough of the people are going to be on that team, as opposed to a 65-35. I think that that's going to be your opportunity, because the 65 might have 80% representation on them as a pick.
Right on. You're starting to get into the math, man. That's you can't. It's maybe it's too early to talk about this because that's knockout stage stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm thinking of. Definitely want some entries alive to play that game, and I feel like the Survivor Grid kind of created this for the world for NFL Survivor. We got a clean season every week, every team, and Survivor Atlas tries to expand upon that. But all these different types of Survivor with the bracketed Survivor, we haven't seen a good interface for this. I tried to make one during March Madness, and with 68 teams or whatever, it got too messy. But there's interesting things to think about as far as the paths, getting cut off and forcing you into things, and availability.
There's
something to it, but I haven't been able to make something I'm happy sharing yet. It's just
the other thing that comes to mind is if you do get a situation where there's an underdog that progresses really far, is now it's going to flip, because you'll have people that burned top dogs getting to that position. And so if you get to a situation where, yes, we're talking about the finals, but I get that that's down the road. But if you get a finals where it's let me just make something up, a France versus Norway as an example.
Okay.
So 90% of the people will have burned France to get to the finals, right? So you're going to have, maybe that's maybe that's a big number. Maybe it's like 70%, 60%. I don't know. But the point is that you're now going to have 60% on Norway because that's the only team that they can take.
Yes, I mean it's again just think about what the field does. What does the field do? If France is the clear favorite to win it all
in like the Final Four, let's say.
But I'm saying that now or like
okay, all right.
Does that mean everyone just goes? I have to. That maybe France gets oversaved.
Sure.
Oversaved because everyone goes, oh, they're the odds-on favorite. I have to save them to the very, very end. And
well,
that's a different.
The other thing is that the odds are not super juiced for one team. It doesn't appear that it's not like France is like minus 150 to win the whole thing. Like there's top dogs for sure. There's teams that are under 10-1. And I don't know how many of them there are, but let's say there's 8-10 teams that are under 10-1 or something. And so if you use that as your measuring stick, I suppose. I guess what I'd be interested in seeing is if you get to a Final Four and you have I don't know. Let me just make up a Final Four. Germany, Spain, England. And then, something wacky, Uzbekistan.
Okay, this is a probably market to win odds if it helps. But
okay, perfect. Let's just say we get to the Final Four and we're France, Spain, Germany, I don't know, Turkey or Australia, something wacky, right? Okay. I want to know what goes on there because you run the risk of do you take Turkey there or do you wait to see if they get to the final and then do you save Turkey in that situation?
Right, for the $2 million scoop.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, we play for the scoop, Mikey. So
you're right, and I know that we do that. But it just makes you feel like such a dummy when you're, in the round 32 of 32 and you're like, well, I was on Haiti and DR Congo and they both lost 11-0. They both had 6 red cards and they had 0 chance.
Right. I mean, going for the scoop when all the money's on the line is a lot different than when there's 16 different matchups and you're trying to get it. Like we know from NFL, the leverage usually isn't there. It's those holiday weeks where the leverage gets crazy.
Yeah.
And because of the bracketed style of this, it's probably not leveraged up until the very end, but maybe the beginning too. Maybe like
that's kind of the wacky thing is it could be, like we're just saying, there's different schools of thought here, and depending on where the crowd goes. I think, ultimately, I think that it's going to be, relatively evenly dispersed. It's not, I don't suspect that we'll see Japan owned like 90% in the group stage.
I guess there's a scenario in that round of 32 where, let's say, the Netherlands is playing somehow Jordan got third place with 1 point and snuck through or something like this, right? They got 2 ties and miracle they stuck through, and Netherlands has a hard path after them. So people are loving taking them, and you're like, well, Jordan's only 9% to advance, but if you're 1 entry on them and there's also 6,000 entries on Netherlands, you're like, I gotta just click Jordan on one of these things, right?
Yes, I know that you're right. It's just a tough pill to swallow.
Shootouts, man.
You just look like a dope when the Jordan coach gets a red card in the first 3 minutes because he punches his own player who's telling them to come up. Dude, like, holy shit! I wish I understood. I wish I knew this was going to happen.
Dude, in the spirit of Amir Vahidi, I'm going to be taking lots of these teams in that region, man. Because, like he said, in order to live, you got to be willing to die, and that's how we play Survivor.
That's fair, and I get it. Like, sometimes you have to get all in at the beginning of a poker tournament. You don't love it, but like, it happens.
Dude, shootouts, like, okay, obviously teams are different. There's different managers and whatever, and that all factors in. But some of these teams, like, the shootout means a team can win. It's not like they have to even score a real goal in the real game to advance. So it's funny, like when we're about to go into the knockout stage and we're doing an episode, then I'm gonna be probably thinking about that way too much. Oh, Cutter, they can win. They can get to a shootout here, or Jordan, they can get to a shootout here. That's what's justifying me doing something too frisky, maybe. When we're making these decisions, because we're gonna fire enough interest to have something alive, then, right? And trying to find a team that can win a shootout.
That's kind of the other thing is like there is strategy possibilities here. If you have a manager that has, big league experience and he comes back and he's like, look, we do not have the firepower to compete. Like if you're the coach of Bosnia and Herzegovina and you're up against like Switzerland, you just know you can just flat out say we don't have the boots for this hike. And so you can be like, all right, we're just going to totally pack it in and we're going to defend and this game's going to be 0-0 and that's how we're going to win this.
Dude, that's a good one you brought up because Bosnia, I think they have a goalie who's like the best in the world at shootouts.
That's it. In fact, every single day at practice, we're just going to do straight shootout. We're just going to do penalty kicks. And tough nose defending.
Yeah, I'm thinking, dude. I'm getting some ideas now because Bosnia. Where's Bosnia on this list? They're in that 66% to advance. They seem on paper like a great team to pick round one to get out of the group stage. They're kind of a wackadoo team.
Yeah,
big favorite. But if they really do have that goalie, there's a chance I'm mixing them up with somebody. I think they got a goalie, dude. Then there might be a prime, plus 120 round of 32 team where you're making a mistake burning them. You got to go to that value on values thing we're talking about and get them through because of the sweet value.
I think you also want to look for this is where I kind of need to look into the rules a little bit, not of the splash contest, but of World Cup advancing, where not all horrendous teams are equal. Some horrendous teams might lose 3-1 or 3-0. Then there's other horrendous teams that are going to lose like 9-0 or something like that. And so if you can identify those 9-0 teams, not the winners, but the teams that are going to give up 9, 10, 12 goals, it really behooves you to select somebody from that group in the group stage because the second worst team from that group.
Yes,
but I don't know, like
it's priced into all these things though, right? Like
a little bit.
There's so many prop markets on who advances, who gets top two,
Sure.
And when Iraq is in the group, they're like,
yeah. I suppose, but like the way that you advance can be different, right? So like I was saying, I don't know. I suppose that if a team's just incapable of scoring a goal, their only way to advance would be like tie, and then they win 2 shootouts or something along those lines. That's certainly different. That team is different. Is just built differently than the team that's just going to lose by an aggregate of like 30 goals.
Yeah, right.
So yes, that's still going to factor into the odds, and you're still going to be. A team is still going to be a dog or whatever, a favorite to move on because that team is in their group. But those two teams are vastly different. And I don't know those teams quite yet. Like, is Algeria the team that's just going to give up 30 goals? Not in one game, but across three.
No,
I don't know. Is Cabo Verde? Are they like fielding 16, 17-year-olds? They're 15-year-olds that are not up to the task.
So one thing just is worth keeping in mind: out of 48 teams, 32 of them get through, right? 32 of 48. So it's really just clipping the worst of the worst teams. And looking at these pie market, like these, there's not too much volume here, but you can see the yes, no are like kind of close to adding up to 100%. So it's probably reasonable lines, reasonable-ish, whatever. And no one's that low. Like the worst team, Haiti, 12%. And I know at least one smart person thinks Haiti's closer to 20% to advance.
Okay, that's like, that is kind of what I'm getting at. That in itself is interesting to me.
Go on.
Because some of these teams that are priced at like 14%, like Curacao, it's possible that they should be, I don't know, 0.3%.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Once you see them play, it's going to adjust, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like nobody has seen them play, and so like you have people that are like betting on these things, and you could tell the volume's small, so it's not like there's some huge sharp on the other side of this stuff. People are just like, oh, can they really be that bad? And they're like, all right, I'll take the other side,
Yeah. So. Okay, all the advancing stuff, those markets for that where people don't have to like dive in too deep. But there is the next wrinkle up is, okay, you advance, and who are you likely to play in the next round? Like if you're likely to get facing France in round 32, that seems like
that's kind of like your ideal pick for your group stage. Yes,
and I know Nate Silver, who's always done World Cup modeling. I always like his stuff. He put me on to Gabe and Mikey back in 2014. Costa Rica winning the group 75-1. Shout out Nate Silver.
Yeah.
Shout out Costa Rica. I think it was Uruguay, England.
Uruguay.
Who was it? Uruguay, England, and Italy, and they won the group. Anyway, he put out all these different data things that I think are pretty cool. He was kind of one of the inspirations for Survivor Atlas, so I always like plugging him.
Yeah.
But one of his things behind his paywall is, who will we play next? And every team, he has some idea of who they're going to play and the distribution of that in the round of 32. Which is kind of interesting for what we're for World Cup Survivor, right? I think it's also weird. We haven't talked about this, but as far as the seeding, there's first place teams, second place teams, and those third place teams. And obviously everyone wants to play the third place team. So if there's only 8 of those, how do you match them up in the round of 32? And there's this extremely, extremely convoluted thing about who gets to play who. That's almost it's like too hard to figure out now. Because,
but also, if we're using your the odds for outright winner as like our basis, I think it's not like you're going to have some huge. I mean, the difference between playing in your round of 32 Germany or Spain or Argentina or Brazil is going to be nominal. Yes. For the most part, because presumably you're going to be the disparity is made up by the bad team and how bad they are, not the good team and how good they are. The difference at the top between Germany and Spain is negligible. The difference between, I don't know, Algeria and Scotland is not negligible. That's going to be the difference. Algeria might be 25-1 to beat Argentina, and then Australia might be like 12-1 to beat them. I don't know. That's an outlandish example, but you get what I'm putting down.
Yes. So we gotta like use that type of thing to find the right group teams. I think there's a pretty clean. Like if you just assume France and Brazil win their groups, which I don't have the odds up yet of the group winners, but they're pretty high. And then the chance they end up playing Japan. That's why I originally said Japan. I feel like I had them circled as a team that was going to have a really hard round of 32 matchup if the likely thing happens, which makes
I think Brazil like cakewalks, right? I mean, if you look at their group, Morocco, Haiti, Scotland, that's like I don't know. That seems like by far the easiest group.
What letter group are they in? I got these letters. Huh? Sorry.
Charlie.
Well, Nate has them 97% to advance, 65% to win. So Morocco has.
That's another stat you might want to look at. The disparity between outright winner and to advance from their group.
Okay, with what thought on that?
Meaning you want the highest advance percent. You want the largest difference between percentage to advance versus to win the tournament outright. So subtract those two, and the largest number I think is what you want.
Okay, maybe this like I'm looking at Group B now, and Bosnia is like only. I mean, this is Nate Silver thing that I just but 8% to win first, but 67% to qualify, because he has them 40% to be one of the third place teams.
Sure. So like that's kind of your smart money. Right.
The fourth team in that group is Qatar, and that's like the market saying they're getting beat down, like the stuff you're talking about earlier. They're gonna get beat down. They're gonna have the most goals against, or they're gonna be in the run for it. But yeah, I think we should gather some evidence and come back for the next show and have all that stuff ready. And like,
are we gonna release like some of our actual picks? I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, those. I think we'll figure out some stuff that's obvious, and then we're gonna talk about, okay, if it's so obvious to us and we're talking about it, it's gonna chalk, and we're gonna play rock paper scissors with ourselves and the audience, I guess.
That's a little what worries me. Is like
that's the nature of Survivor, man.
Yeah, that's the nature of like games in general, right? Where you come in with a thought and like, I don't know. It's frustrating to me when like I think I have something figured out, and then one of these brainiac, like if Magnus Carlsen was on the podcast with us next week, I feel like he would be like, "Oh no, you're supposed to take Switzerland first or something," and I'd be like, "Damn it, why didn't I?" I don't know. Like I assume that these people are like capable of having it figured out, and it takes me like more than a second to be like, okay. My initial inclination was Japan. If that's my initial inclination, then that's going to be everybody's initial inclination. So then I should take this person.
Just going to go on record saying I bet Magnus Carlsen would be a chalky fish in this thing, dude.
I don't know. That's bold. That's a little outrageous.
He's like, okay, I'm going to save France and Argentina and Spain, but he's definitely using Japan, U.S., Mexico, Canada.
He's a level 2 guy.
He's a level 2 on his best day at this, dude.
I'm gonna see if we can get him on next week.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm gonna text Ola and see if he can get Magnus on.
Right, like through Facebook or whatever. Hey,
I'm actually gonna try to make that happen, and I want to get his gut instinct on like how this happens.
Right, and then he immediately comes out and starts talking about level 3, level 4. Just
he's like, yeah, but now you want to do level 5 and go back and pick. I'm like, oh shit.
Right. Okay, you win, Magnus.
Yeah,
Can we buy a piece? Can we buy a PC?
Here's all 150 entries. You do it.
Yeah, and click our link too, Magnus. Thanks, dude.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah, exciting stuff, and there's so many teams to pick and choose, and it's kind of going to be like a slow cook on this thing, right? Like
It's also nice because it's a four card parlay here, as opposed to football where it's one per week and you're just it's one decision. This one, what I guess what's cool about it is my card can have half of your teams on it, so we're 50% pulling for each other in some instances, and then
it's weird though. It's not pure from the beginning because of all the third place stuff, because of
right,
you're not necessarily surviving. Like if you win your first game, for example, let's say you pick Japan and they win, and then you're like, oh, I actually want them to find a way to advance by being third, so they get knocked out.
Right.
Like there's a little bit of,
yeah, like if Japan wins their first game, you might find yourself rooting against them in their second game.
Right. Whether
you don't want them to win their group stage, you want them to come in second or something.
Maybe for a low position, or because you're like, oh, I hope they're not too good. Because if they're too good and they're going to,
I should have saved them.
Right. And there's like 2 weeks of that kind of grind, and then, the matchups of which third place team faces who and all that's not determined until later because of all the weird rules. I try to understand these rules. You can try to look them up, but
you want them to, like, your early teams. You want them advancing because of goal differential.
I mean, you want to by the thinnest margins, right?
That's what I mean. By not their record. You want their records tied, and then you want them to win on aggregate goals.
No, I think the last tiebreaker is like yellow card count, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah.
I know also we didn't talk about this at all, and it's kind of hard to use it for the group stage, but there's lots of rule changes. There's lots of little quirks, Mikey, that you don't even know about, dude.
Go on.
You know about how you got to hurry up and do the goal kick, or it becomes a corner kick?
No.
Did I dream this, or does that sound like a real thing?
Is this a goal kick, or the goalie has to get rid of the ball?
There's like timers on all these things now.
Okay. Are you telling me that they're going to start enforcing that? Because there was always, I think it was a 6-second rule that the goalie has to kick the ball, but that was never enforced.
Do you remember that from when you were a kid, or from the last World Cup? When do you think that was?
No, this was as an adult. I remember this. The rule, I think, has always been 6 seconds. The goalie has from, getting their hands on the ball to when the ball needs to be kicked or punted or passed.
Okay, I don't know when, but I think in general they're trying to speed up a lot of these things. And I was talking
the ref would always be like, if a team's up 2-1 or something, and the goalie, catches it, falls on it, does, a push up, and then, 20 seconds of running around, the ref is going to be like, speed it up. And then if they do it again, it's yellow.
Right. And then the loophole is like, oh, I put the ball on the ground. So
yeah. They're like, oh, I need to catch my breath. This guy bumped me or something.
So yesterday, before I got my new World Cup drip, that I got another one too. Yeah. I was talking to a buddy who's sharp at this stuff. Who from he knows ball when it comes to this stuff.
So he's seen Cote d'Ivoire play.
Right. He has ratings and all the bench players of all the right? And he was talking about how there's a lot of different angles where they're trying to speed stuff up, less rolling on the ground. When you're a sub, you can't be walking off. When you're doing a throw in, you can't be doing whatever.
What's around?
And they just don't like, FIFA wants the game not to have that stuff. Players find a way to do it because players want little rest and whatnot, so they work it in.
Well, presumably it's made back on stoppage, but not all of it, I suppose.
Yeah, there's some interesting angles though. If it's late and you spent the time earlier running more, and then if the goals happen a lot during stoppage time, and now are you fresher then, or
maybe
more tired then, or whatever. Anyway, I think we can't really use that stuff in the group stage, but when it comes to us finding wacky ideas for why we're going to take a dog in the round of 16 to make one of our 2 picks, then there's something to that. Like, I want to get us an EV calculator going into this, but I don't know if it's possible, dude. I don't even know how to think about that with this bracketed Survivor.
Especially in your pick 4. In the early stage, it's going to be difficult to accomplish.
Yeah. It must be possible. Maybe Magnus has a solver dude for us.
Well, we'll know next week when he's on.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for joining us for part 1 of our World Cup Survivor. Again,
you really want to get down on this Splash event if you are not already involved in it.
Yeah.
Download the app. Sign up for Splash.
Oh, yeah. We have our link. And also, when you sign up, if you use code Atlas, we get a little kickback from that. So we'd appreciate that. And just in general, you're going to be hearing about the World Cup. You're probably an American. It's probably, they're playing in a stadium down the road from you. You're going to be seeing it on the news. Might as well flick it in there. And,
if you're a poker player or gambler or any of that sort of stuff, when's the last time you saw a massive overlay that was actually running?
Yeah, and
it's got to be years.
I think Splash had them last year for the NFL, but it just gets your brain juices going for Survivor, and it's the perfect time of year to get that stuff going, work on that muscle, that Survivor muscle, and then be ready to try to win $20 million in a few weeks.
And it's $100 contest. It's not like it's $1,000 where you're like you got to actually think about it, and you can't just fire it off. Anybody can fire off an entry or 2.
Yes, and Mikey, we didn't talk about this before, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, dude. If we win 7 figures in this thing, we're gonna have a Grandissimo Circa entry.
You might have 10 of them.
But we're locking into at least one. Me and you shooting from the hip.
Grandissimo? Arguing like this for our picks?
Just for on ball knowledge only. We're not only using Survivor math. We just try to maximize survival and try to learn a lesson.
I can make you this promise. I won't look at how many people remain in the contest or who has what. Every week it's just going to be me just gripping it and ripping it.
And we only do home teams to be safe.
Yeah, that are 3-point favorites.
No divisional matchups. Okay. Check back in a few days. We're gonna go a little deeper on this stuff. Thanks
with Magnus.
Thanks, Mikey.
See you.